Hello, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm the Disturbed Southern Belle.
And I'm the gentleman.
We're going to be continuing on talking about some of the most disturbing media, and we're going to start talking about some disturbing movies. So, the first one that we're going to cover is called The Bunny Game. This is a 2011 American horror film that depicts, we'll say, the struggle of this drug-addicted lady of the evening against this psychotic truck driver. So, it starts out with this lady of the evening that never is referred to in the movie by any name, but in the credits is called Bunny. And she's shown at the beginning of the film performing sexual acts upon an unseen man. She then collects her money and, of course, uses it to fuel her drug addiction. So she goes out and buys drugs. So after the next several minutes, she's seen doing this interactions with various other clients. She basically performs some sort of sexual act. Of course, it's not showing it full out, but well enough, of course.
It's indicated.
Right. Claims her payment and then immediately uses it, of course, to get more drugs. She just repeats this process over and over, searching for another client. So later, she meets this truck driver who, again, is never referred to as a name during the movie, but in credits, he's referred to as Hog, H-O-G.
Well, all right then.
And he asks her, she gets in the truck with him, whatever, and he asks her, if she's a drug addict or if she has a drug addiction, to which she admits that she does, and she offers to perform a sexual act on him for $30. However, he declines the offer. He then drugs her, which basically leaves her incapacitated and unconscious. So he knocks her out, basically. Gives her something, knocks her out. Don't know what it is, never says, but whatever. So he then kidnaps her, and he takes her back to, we'll say his lair. And he attempts to awaken her while he starts doing some pretty disgusting things, like rubbing her breasts. He cuts her clothes away. He runs knives along her skin, licks her, just does like several physical and sexual type acts on her while she's asleep. And she finally awakens and she finds herself handcuffed. And of course, she's understandably terrified because of the situation she finds herself in. So over the next several days, he subjects her to all kinds of physical, sexual, and just mental torture, including like forcibly kissing her. He brands her at one point with that, what's it called, the catechus or whatever, like the medical symbol thing, with the snakes around, whatever.
Snakes around a pole.
Right. He shaves her head. He also forces her to watch tapes of her being tortured by him. Later, he takes her to the desert and is seen dragging her along on a leash. He then forces her to play the bunny game. Basically, he puts a mask on her where she's wearing a bunny mask and he's wearing a dog mask, and he chases her around. This goes on for a while, and then he eventually puts her back in his truck, in which he leaves the back door open, which allows her to attempt to escape. So then she's seen running through the desert, completely nude, crying and laughing, thinking she's gotten away. He manages to catch her, and then he puts her on a crucifix. He then tells her that she's going to draw straws, and that if she draws the long straw, he will release her. However, if she draws the short straw, he wins and will essentially continue on with the torture and everything he's been doing to her. So, left with no other option, she draws a straw. Now, the straw appears to be long. However, the true length of the others is never revealed, so you don't really know if she got a long straw or a short straw. And the film ends basically with her being shown thrown over his shoulder, and then she's seen loaded, either unconscious or dead, you don't really know, she's just lifeless basically, into the back of this windowless van by this man who's dressed in white, and it just goes on. Her fate's unknown. So, very sad, but probably has happened before because a lot of women are seen as disposable, you might say, by a lot of people, and sadly, a lot of them, if they come up missing, there's probably not a lot of people coming to look for them in a lot of situations, which makes it even sadder.
It does.
But it does, it happens. Now, that one is crazy. I mean, I don't know that I would suggest watching it. I mean, you probably have to have a pretty strong stomach for it, but that's what it is. So the next one we're going to cover is a movie called A Cure for Wellness. Now, this one is not quite as bad, I guess, as the Bunny Game in some ways, but it's pretty not that great.
The Bunny Game was pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not quite that bad, but it's kind of out there and it's kind of nasty. So, this is a 2016 sort of psychological horror film which follows this young executive who is sent to retrieve the company that he works for as CEO from this mysterious rehabilitation center that's located in the Swiss Alps. So, it starts off showing Lockhart, who is an executive at this financial services firm that's located in New York City. And he's being sent by the company's board of directors to retrieve the CEO of the company, whose name is Roland Pembroke. Now, Pembroke had just abruptly left and decided to stay at this wellness center that was located in the Swiss Alps. So nobody could get word to him. They couldn't get in touch with him, blah, blah, blah. They didn't know what was going on. So they're like, hey, you go get him. So Lockhart arrives at the facility, but he's met with resistance by the staff and the lead doctor of the center, whose name is Dr. Heinrich Vollmer. So he's basically just trying to see him, speak to him. They're basically saying no, blah, blah, blah. They won't let him have any access to him. So unable to see or speak with Pembroke, Lockhart just leaves. But shortly after leaving, he's involved in a car crash. So he later awakens and he finds himself at the center, and he's told that he's been there for like 3 days, but he's not really sure. He's been out. He doesn't really know. So he also finds that his leg has been placed in a cast, and then he meets this mysterious young girl who is named Hannah. And he finds out, along with others at the center, that they're taking these doses of an unknown fluid from these small blue bottles. But he doesn't know what it is, but they're all taking this medicine out of these little blue bottles. So he talks with another patient and some residents of a nearby town who tell him about the horrific history of the spa. They tell him it was built on the ruins of this castle that used to be there around 200 years ago, and it was owned by this baron who desired to have an heir he deemed of pure blood. So, like many of these blue bloods, he accomplished this by marrying his own sister. So he soon discovers, though, that his sister is infertile. Now, how he knows it, I would only assume that he'd had a child with somebody else or something, but it never flat out says. But anyway, how would he know it wasn't him infertile? But whatever. So to combat this, he begins to perform these hellish experiments on the peasants that live in the town near the castle. Now, the peasants eventually find out about his experiments when they discover the basically carelessly buried bodies of his victims. So he's kind of burying them in these like shallow graves, and they find it, and they find out what's going on. So they then storm the castle, and they set it on fire, trapping the baron inside. They then capture the baron's sister, who is now pregnant, and let's just say they remove the baby from her womb before they burn her. The baby is then thrown into like this local like well thing, but somehow manages to survive. Okay, have no clue how, right? Okay, so Lockhart attempts to leave the spa and the town, but he finds out that no one is allowed to leave. He then gives Hannah this like little ballerina figure, and she helps him go out on the bike into the town to sort of look around, so to speak. So he leaves her at this bar to seek out help, or seek out a translator who can help him read Pembroke's records, his medical records, which are all written in German. He's trying to figure out what's happened to him, basically. So while there, he discovers that the people of the spa are suffering from dehydration despite being given water from the well regularly. Hannah, who has been kept at the spa her entire life, has never been outside, never been to the town. She starts kind of exploring the bar or whatever while she waits for Lockhart to return. And this attracts the attention of the bar's patrons, as you can imagine. So Lockhart, he returns a while later to get her, and he ends up getting into a fight with a man that he finds dancing with Hannah. He's then rescued, though, by Dr. Vollmer, who the locals appear to be in fear of. So together, him, Hannah, Vollmer, they all return to the spa, and Lockhart discovers that the transfusion wing of the spa is actually a front for these macabre medical experiments. He also discovers that the water from the well possesses some odd properties. While it's toxic to humans, it has like this life-restoring property for these eels that live in the well.
Which is a bit weird.
It is very weird. He finds out that the Baron at one time had devised this process in which he would filter the water through the bodies of humans and would then distill it into this like life-giving essence, whatever. And Vollmer is using his patients for this process as well.
Well, that is also a bit weird.
It is. Now, how exactly it shows it. It's very graphic. I would probably get the video pulled if I went into details. But anyway, this cure is the stuff that's in those blue bottles, as you can imagine, that's being ingested by Hannah, Vollmer, and Vollmer's staff. And they are gaining vastly lengthened lifespans because of this. Lockhart manages to discover also that his leg was never broken, and they just put that cast on him for a reason where he wouldn't question why he needed to leave for a while, whatever, blah, blah.
Well, you would think that he would know.
You would think, but I have no clue. I've never broken a bone, thankfully, so I don't know, but I would figure you would. But anyway, and he figures out, that he's essentially a prisoner. So Vollmer then starts to subject him to these just like nightmarish treatments. And I say treatments very loosely. And they basically end up kind of warping his mind until he believes that he's just insane. So Hannah finds him and she sees the change in him and she gives him that ballerina figurine back, which sort of seems to break him out of this delirious state he's in. So later, Hannah has her first period, which leads Vollmer to decide to marry her. So during the wedding reception, Vollmer leads her into this secret bedroom in the ruins of the castle, and he attempts to, we'll say, consummate the marriage. During this time, Lockhart is able to break into Vollmer's office, and he makes this horrific discovery. Vollmer is actually the Baron from 200 years ago, and Hannah is the child of his that was cast into the well. Due to the cure they've been consuming, they've been aging extremely slowly. Evidently, very, very, very slowly, because she's still sort of a child. This spurs Lockhart to go find Vollmer and confront him. And he finds him in the bedroom, whatever, and the two him and Vollmer get into a fight. During which Vollmer's face is revealed to be a mask, and he's been using to hide like these hideous scars, burn scars that are covering him from when he was caught in the castle fire. Lockhart then manages to set the castle on fire, but then during the scuffle, he's overpowered by Vollmer. Hannah comes to his rescue and kills her father by forcing him basically to fall into the well where he's attacked and eaten by the eels that live within it. Lockhart and Hannah then escape on her bicycle as the fire just begins to engulf the entire spa. They end up crashing into a car that's filled with Lockhart's employers who had come to retrieve both him and Pembroke, so they got tired of waiting on him and they'd come to see what was going on themselves. Lockhart informs them that Pembroke has died. They demand he get in the car, however he ignores them and mutters that he feels better. He then rides away with Hannah, both of which smile eerily as they finally escape the center.
Well, all right then.
I know. That one is out there too.
That is just
crazy.
So far out of left field.
It is. It's nuts. Yeah, I don't know why these eels or whatever, what exactly is supposed to be making them so life extent, you know what I mean? I don't know what the heck. I don't know. But something about them, blah, blah, blah. How he could filter the stuff through people, I don't know that either. But anyway, that's what he did, and it was bad. And anyway, we hope you enjoyed that segment. Don't forget to come back and follow us for some more. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And don't forget to stay disturbed.